they got into office last week. So we hopefully in the coming days will see a drastic change, when it comes to insecurity. But then if we bring an end to insecurity and we are sure that we have a nation that is safe, investors around the world will be able to come in and invest, and then from there jobs will be created.
Now in France on Thursday, the president said Nigeria is ready to do business and receive investments from foreign partners. And he premised this on the ongoing reforms, such as the removal of fuel subsidy, the streamlining of the exchange rate, moves. He promised to sustain a more competitive economy that attracts foreign and direct investments. So he has also gone on to urge investors to take advantage of this. Would you say we have made any substantial change where investors will be pushed towards coming to Nigeria to invest?
Well, I think one of the only things that actually looks like a change would be the removal of the subsidy. But like I said before, no investor would want to come to a country that isn't safe. You consider safety first. So yes, it's okay for you to remove subsidy and all that, but until the nation is safe for investors, I don't think there's any investor that would. I mean, in recent times we've had issues of foreigners being kidnapped in some part of our nation and all that. So nobody would want to come and invest. So you must bring an end to insecurity first of all, whether in the north, the south, all around the nation. Because when you talk about investors, you have to guarantee their safety. If their safety is not guaranteed, nobody would want to come and invest. We've seen companies leaving Nigeria as a result of insecurity. So I feel the major task, in front of Mr. President is to bring an end to insecurity first of all. Then investors will. In fact, you don't even need to go to look for investors. Investors on there. I mean, Nigeria is a fruitful land. I mean, we are the giant of Africa. Nigeria is blessed as well. But then you need to ensure that you wipe out insecurity. So I feel that the most important task at this time is to ensure that we bring an end to insecurity.
All right, let's get some feedback to this first story, talking about what the increase and the hike in vehicle duties will do to the transportation system, the sector, as well as poverty in Nigeria. You can call in via these numbers: 0700 951 0000 and 08095 974869. You can also reach out via the WhatsApp platform. It's 080 99930137. Do ensure when you call in, move away from your device, give your name and your location. No foul language. You can share your thoughts without disrespecting anyone, and kindly be notified when it's time for you to wrap up your thoughts, to give way and give room to others to also share their thoughts. Welcome to you. Hello.
My name is Jennifer. Hello, good afternoon. Speaking Itodo.
Good afternoon to you.
The Agaba Ido one. Good afternoon to our guest.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Salasi.
Welcome to you.
Hello, I want to talk about most especially the aspect of the investment and what the guest say. He says the truth. There's no investment without security until they do something about the insecurity. Who will come and invest for where that is insecure? So government should do the needful about the insecurity. You can imagine what poor farmers are going through. You can imagine what people are going through. Some people can no longer go to their ancestral land anymore. Majority of Nigeria, they stay in internal displaced places. So government should do the needful about the security, then it will attract investment. But without security, I don't see any investment coming. Government must do. They must stand on their toe and to make sure that the security will be the primary responsibility of any government in the world.
All right.
That is the primary responsibility of any government. So they should do something about that. Nagodi.
Thank you. Welcome to you. Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Comrade Salisu.
Welcome, Salisu. Go ahead, please.
My take today is about, when you have a big man in the country that hate poor people, you only deal with poor people. That's what is happening in the country now. When you see the first comment, the man confessed, they remove the forces. They are suffering seriously. Now you go to tariff, from there another one. It's killing us, seriously. Now, and this country is causing a lot of problems. It's not tackle the security, it's supposed to tackle. It's not tackle the economy, it's supposed to tackle. It's not tackle the really things that it's supposed to tackle. Now, in Nigeria, we want to help this country. When the nearby government has any farm, I was born, come and see every government, even local government have a farm before. But now there's no farm for any government, there's no farming. No local government farming, no state farming, no federal government farming. We have a lot of land. There's no only the village with farm. Federal government is supposed to farm to helping the nation. But nobody farms.
All right.
No cocoa farm, nothing is going down. And we think Nigeria will go forward. We are going backward. We are going backward.
All right. Welcome to you.
Itodo, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. What's your name, please?
Yeah. Okay, this is Cashflow on the line from City Avenue.
Go ahead, Cashflow.
Greet your guest. Okay, yes. Itodo, you can agree with me that the primary reason any government, comes on board in any country as written in the Constitution has to deal with security, as the primary, reason, and the welfare of our citizens. That is the primary purpose of any government, if you, agree with me, as is constitutional. So, a government who cannot provide security, honestly, for me, it has no business in being in government. No matter how fanciful, they look or whatever, they seem to be doing, which, is not on the trajectory to, economic.
Well, Cashflow, we've seen new service chiefs being appointed, which goes to show that indeed the government is doing something to cause a change in insecurity in Nigeria to improve on the security status of the country.
Yes, I totally agree with you. It is good for you to appoint, these people who you think can deliver, on this mandate and do the job. But I think it's not enough, or it's not a guarantee. There needs to be a check, a system to make sure that these people you have, are assigned to these responsibilities actually, deliver on that. That is the problem. It's the delivery that is the issue. It's not enough to appoint, service chief and all of that. Yes, it is the first step, but are we going to see these people doing what they have been assigned to do? So please, security is one of the major things. That's why the United States you see today, which is one of the security is what makes them a strong nation. You understand that. So Nigeria we should stop being mediocre. And
all right, Cashflow.
Thank you.
Welcome to you. Are you there? Good afternoon. Okay, I can barely hear you. If you can, do well to call back. Welcome to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Itodo.
Welcome to you.
This is Prince from Buhari.
Go ahead, please.
You see, we are talking of security. How can you stop security? You keep on making people more poorer and poorer. You see, if there is a say that says an angry man is an hungry man is an angry man. From price subsidy to NEPA tariff. Now you are talking of increasing of wage on a car a day. How do you want? You see, if you want to stop security, the one way to stop security is to make sure you give people an easy life. Easy life. Because that's of frustration is what's really about insecurity. I don't know why we are like this. The first day you come, the first thing is to remove subsidy. People are just getting used to that. We are hearing of NEPA tariff again. Now they're talking of increasing NEPA. That's why they can stop security. The only way to stop security is to make life easy for people. That's thank you. God bless you. Let me make it to another person to contribute.
Welcome to you. Sorry about that. If you can do to call back, you can also call on WhatsApp 08099930137. Do remember to move away from your device when you call in to prevent us from having that feedback, which would go on to disrupt the conversation. All right. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Monday Shaheen.
Welcome to you, Shaheen.
Yeah. Anyway, we cannot talk about security without talking about the well-being of the people. yes, we agree that he appoint service chief, and I think most of Nigerians are actually happy with that those appointments. But we are still waiting to see what they are going to bring on board. But as one of the caller just said, I still want to repeat the same. Some people are forced into the criminality. And if people are poor, then the rich people always take advantage of making them do the wrong things. So he still need to work more in terms of fixing the economy. When people are okay, you hardly get them do the wrong thing. So please, you have to be very sincere in fixing the security aspect. However, in a theory of Thomas Hope, he did say we can surrender our sovereignty to a ruler, a tyranny, if only that person can guarantee security and peace. Then we can now pursue happiness. So we wait to see what the policy he is putting in place, what they are going to do towards. For so far, we have not seen any good policy in terms of the economy, but in terms of appointment of the service chief, well, Nigerians appreciate that. So we wait to see them what they are going to bring on board. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for sharing your thoughts right there, Shahim. Let's get your reaction to the fact that insecurity and unemployment are intertwined, and the well-being of the average Nigerian is so important. If you're unable to get your basic needs, I mean, it's just the basics, right? If you're not able to get that for yourself, is that an excuse for you to go into measures that would threaten the life of or the lives of other Nigerians?
Not an excuse, and I basically do not subscribe to that. But then, there's a popular saying about an idle man. So most Nigerian youths at this time are idle, not because they choose to be idle, but because of the present state of the nation. I mean, you graduate from school, go for NYSC, and then after that, you're just jobless at home. Not because you want to be jobless, but because government have been unable to provide jobs. So I kind of agree with the caller who said, look, you need to ensure, that you take off poverty first before you think of fighting insecurity. But I think you can do that side by side. You can't say, I'm going to suspend fighting insecurity and then focus on creating jobs. You can do that at the same time. Create jobs for the people and then fight insecurity. But I think it just boils down to the values you have as a person. You can't say, okay, because government didn't create jobs, then I want to become an armed robber, for instance. I mean, we have young Nigerians doing business, doing well because government couldn't create jobs, and today they're even employing other people. So I think Nigerians also, at this time now, you can't just sit down depending on anyone. You can't even depend on the government, because now you need to find a way to protect yourself. You need to provide jobs for yourself and all that. So I think it's also a wake-up call for Nigerian youths to begin to think. Don't depend on your government. Begin to think, because I've seen people that were not employed before, but today they're employing people 5, 10, 20 and all that. So I think it's also a wake-up call, but government also, they must rise to the occasion. Like one of the callers said, look, the major duty of government is to be able to provide for your citizens and ensure that they are properly secure. So if you fail to do that, then you fail. So it's time for government to get serious. Okay, you've taken off subsidy. You're increasing electricity tariff. Now we are talking about a hike again, on import and all that. So okay, you've done all this, and Nigerians are trying to adapt. So you now wake up and start creating jobs, because it looks more like you're pushing Nigerians to the wall and they're adapting to it. But then you must also rise to the occasion by providing jobs for Nigerians. It's very, very important. And then you can also fight insecurity and still.
But is it about providing jobs or the enabling environment for those jobs to be created?
It goes side by side. You must create jobs and then create enabling environment for, so that Nigerians would now be relaxed and they know that, okay, for instance, you're selling fuel at 5.45. Nigerians are adapting, but how do you expect a jobless man to cope with that kind of situation? Or a young guy who's running a barbing salon and then he has to buy fuel because there's no the steady pass.
There's been a hike in how much we pay to get a haircut now.
Of course, yeah. So there's a whole lot you need to do. So it now behoves on the government. Okay, you've been thinking about policies that has to do with you, but now it's time to think about Nigerians. And one of our major issues as a nation too that I feel we need to look into is the cost of governance. I feel they need to review the salaries that our politicians go home with. You can't be earning that much and then Nigerians are wallowing in poverty. No. We are all Nigerians. That you're a politician doesn't make you better than someone else. So we need to look into all this. I think they need to review the amount of monies that are being paid to politicians. They need to cut the cost of governance.
All right, let's take some messages right now. Move on to our next story on WhatsApp. This says, until the government moves away from consumption to production, the next generation might not be able to afford even the I Pass My Neighbor generator. Hello to Mr. Fynface, Evans from Kuje. And this one right here says, the government should please take it easy with Nigerians because 40% hike in vehicular duties will surely worsen situation in the country. And on demolition ongoing in Kano, the government should do away with politics of bitterness. Oludade Abiodun. And this one right here says, Innocent is the cheapest car brand I've seen. What he sells is brand new. If you compare the terms, brand new to the new one, okay, he's making comparisons right now. I pity Nigerians, or I was really pitying Nigerians until... Okay, we'll come back to your message at some other point during the show. Ade from Abuja says, to tackle insecurity, I would advise the new service chiefs to look into the age and mode of recruitment. In the last 9 years, they've tampered with the age of those who are hungry and passionate for the job. All right. Okay, from a passenger down to Jonathan, the age of commissioning was 35 and 40 downwards. These persons are passionate and committed, but not within the last 9 years. In the last 9 years, they've reduced the age to 30 downwards, with young people who are not passionate nor committed to the job because they are favored by those they know. As far as I'm concerned, age 30 downwards for graduates may not be mature or passionate enough after commissioning into service. In the US, their military age is from 42, 45 downwards, and they excel in security issues. Therefore, I suggest that the president and new service chiefs should look into the age thing and maturity. God bless Nigeria. Ade from Abuja. And Patrick right here says, on the issue of throwing Nigerians into poverty and joblessness because of subsidy withdrawal and hike in electricity tariff, imagine that all the unemployed and even the partly employed go into famine, both in the south and north, just in 1 year. Don't you think that there will be a whole lot of reduction in poverty as well as hunger and enough to change our attitude to white-collar jobs and so on? I think that we are poor largely because the youths have decided more to be urbanized than think about how to get rich by applying themselves or harnessing and taking advantage of their environment and natural resources to grow wealth than patching around for the white-collar jobs that are shrinking day by day. And I think that is the major thrust and direction the president wants Nigeria to head toward. And by God's will, we'll get there soon. All right. And our next story in a few seconds before we go on this break is on the CBN issuing guidelines requiring banks to collect and verify social media handles as part of their Know Your Customer procedures. Yeah, a lot of people have a bit of a concern about that. I've heard of people who would try to get a job, and when they are asked about their social media handle, they have gone on to lose that job. Yeah, so what would this do for the banking industry if I were to maybe request for a loan and my social media handle is not giving the vibe that you would expect? But the Apex Bank issued the directive in its recently gazetted legislation titled Customer Due Diligence Regulation 2023. And the bank said the objective of the regulation is to prevent financial crimes and terrorism while boosting the precision and thoroughness of customer identification. According to the CBN, Financial institutions will be required to identify their customers regardless of whether they are permanent or occasional clients. Now, under the new regulation, the Apex Bank listed the information banks must obtain from customers for individuals and so on. The CBN said the regulation intends to provide additional customer due diligence measures for financial institutions to further their compliance from provisions of relevant legislation. So all of that type of account, nature of banking, relationship, signature, and all of those things put together will be required of you. Your NIN, residence permit, driver's license, whichever you're providing, all of that will be required. But let's go on this break. When we come back, we'll have Nsikak Fynface respond to that and also have you share your thoughts on what you think of this.
This is Nigeria